Welcome back to the All Blue Giants podcast. We have a almost like special guest because I don't think you've been in a
Oh,
YouTube video yet. But my co-host is back here with
we're back.
Angelo. How are we?
Uh, Football wise, not great, but we're here
Same.
to break it down. We're here to break it down.
Like usual, we're always here to break it down. We haven't been recently, but we'll definitely go through it. Um, I guess we just have to start off, don't want to be done. But Giants are 1-4. I'm sure everyone knows. Dead last in the NFC East. And we're just gonna open it up. This isn't a traditional podcast where we will have some conflicts and some arguments, but a lot more questions that we're gonna try to be answering for the whole fan base. A lot of arguments that have been coming up the last few weeks. And of course, a lot of facts gonna be thrown in. I know Angela loves these facts, so we're gonna throw some stats, some facts, and really just try to break down this team this year, 2023 Giants. But I'm going to kick it to Angelo. What has gone wrong for the New York Giants? There's a plethora of things that you could say, but I'll
Yeah,
go second. What do you think?
everything.
Everything.
Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. We lost Saquon. The offensive line, not only did they not take the step forward that we expected, they got way worse. Losing Andrew Thomas. So, injuries you can't predict for sure, but I think some of the surprising things that we'll even get into is Evan Neal being possibly god awful, which is not great. But I think we talked about him taking a step forward. On top of that, all of these weapons we brought in looks like we're striking out here. Paris Campbell, and they brought in Beasley and Hyatt and Sterling's back and all this. It was like, okay, we might finally have some weapons, and the offense is worse. And then on top, just cherry on the cake is just Daniel Jones getting blindsided for the millionth time and getting injured. Love it.
Yep. Yep. No, yeah, everything. I love that phrase. Everything that can have gone wrong, went wrong. And that was the story coming into this year was if the O-line can block, if they could be better, we have weapons. Can DJ perform and elevate the weapons that we have? We brought in Waller, we brought in all these guys, and it was, can the O-line block? No. Can DJ play at a high level like he did last year? He has not been able. With You can't blame him entirely. The O line definitely has a big cause of that. He looks uncomfortable in this pocket, but he has not played that well. And then just injuries. We were continuing to be the most injury riddled team in the entire NFL. And we'll get into that because I have a few statistics for that and the injury report and everything. But the first week we were like, okay, no one's on the injury report. Let's go. We're ready to rock and roll. And we get blown out, and then everyone gets hurt after that. But well, like I think everyone has the same answer to this question of what went wrong. Everything went wrong. Like the defense isn't even that bad. It's just like you can't really evaluate them when they're out there for 40 minutes and they're just completely like I would say what's wrong with the defense is edge hasn't been showing up. You can't blame this on Thibodeau. His PFF grade doesn't look like the greatest, but he still's been getting pressure. And edge rushers in Wink Martindale's scheme never get really the numbers put up, like the sack numbers and stuff. But you take a look with a lot of his past edge rushers in Baltimore, they all really elevate once he left. You look at Matt Judon, has been putting up numbers consistently after Wink Martindale left. But even just having Azeez Ojulari is just made of glass. He hasn't been able to stay healthy like we wanted him to. That was kind of a major point or minor point was, can he stay healthy and help elevate this edge room? And he couldn't bring it up to Jihad Ward having to be in there, and which is like no edge presence. The interior D line I think is really good. I still think they're pretty good. Linebackers are somewhat. I think what surprised me is how good linebacker two is with Micah McFadden. He's been pretty solid. A few missed tackles, but he's definitely showing up. I'd say the secondary is young. Adoree has been playing that well. Deontay Banks is
That's
a
my
diamond in the rough. He's corner one. He is corner one.
he is him.
He's been playing really well. Um, but just other than that, we have some controversy with X going around and Pinnock and stuff. We still love X,
My
but we got to address those because he is a leader. But everything that could gone wrong has gone wrong. And this is why the Giants are sitting at 1-4. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season, Giants are going 1-4, I would have said, okay, they start out with a pretty rough bunch of opponents, but going into week 1, we weren't thinking 40-0. We were thinking, okay, close Dallas game. Maybe we could pull something out. We knew that Arizona was going to be a win. We thought we could pull one out against Seattle before we headed to the Dolphins and then having to play Buffalo this week. But it's just been spiraling, and that even with that Arizona game, I'm pretty sure the Giants are averaging 11 points per game, and they have yet to score a first half touchdown, offensive first half touchdown. So I think we just addressed everything in about how much, I don't know, a few minutes. I forgot to start the clock, but it's okay. Because
And I think kind of like what you're saying, that record, if you came into the season and we went through it 1-4, you'd been like, oh, okay, maybe I would expect a little bit better, but it's just been so bad. And we were one historic comeback away from literally being 0-5.
Yep. If Josh Dobbs and the Cardinals don't seem that bad, they put up a fight against a lot of these teams, and they're not as bad as people suspected them to be, but really there's no excuse. The first half of that game was atrocious, and if it wasn't for everyone waking up, like the Cardinals, it's like it's just mind-boggling.
It's been terrible.
No, it has. It's like the first drive will be pretty solid, get into plus territory, and then something bad will happen from then. Like the Cowboys game was just historic for all the wrong reasons. But I'm gonna get into something real quick. As we were talking about the O-line, I'm gonna go through their PFF ratings, which I'm sure you probably know a lot of these, but it goes by their rating and also among the rest of the NFL where they rank with between all the other tackles, guards, and centers. So we'll start off with Josh Ezeudu has a PFF rating of 40.6. Mark Glowinski, PFF rating of 51.1, which is the highest on the O-line, just saying. Highest. Ben Bredeson, 44.2. Marcus McKeithen, 46.4. And Evan Neal, 36.1. Flipping burgers down there. And among the rest of the NFL, Josh Ezeudu, 65 out of 65 tackles, which I don't hate Ezeudu, but he's a young developing player, and he's a left guard, and you throw him into the fire at left tackle. I like him, but he's obviously not going to excel in left tackle. Left tackle is a hard position to play.
I feel bad for him. The reports of him, the first, I think it was the Seahawks game, he was at his locker just staring blankly into it, and then last game he's literally crying and telling Danny that he's sorry and all this. It's like I feel real bad for the kid, and at some point it's almost like we either move him back to guard, you got to put somebody and it's almost just for his psyche at some point,
Mhm.
you gotta dude.
It's true. You might have to just sit him down for the game, bench him just because he needs to calm himself down. There's a lot of emotion in football, and negative emotion isn't the greatest emotion to have. So I don't blame that completely on him. He was thrown into a role that really not everyone can go out and exceed in. Speaking of that, let's continue down our list. Tackle Evan Neal, 64 out of 65. So second to last. Matt Parrott, tackle, 63 out of 65. So the Giants hold the last 3 tackle spots as the worst. So that's something to be proud of, I guess. We'll head to guard. Jalen Mayfield was an undrafted free agent, elevated from the practice squad, 70 out of 70.
Perfect.
And our highest rating, Mark Lewinsky, 55 out of 70. So not too bad. McKeithen with 65 out of 70. And then Ben Bredeson at center, 30 out of 31. So
perfect.
Is it as bad as it gets? Pretty much. This O-line got significantly worse. Without Andrew Thomas, it's just like we went back. It's so like we miss Andrew Thomas a whole lot. Everyone knew how vital he was to this team, and it continues to show with these stats just breaking everywhere, and I still can't wrap my head around it. That like you need O line, It's so important. It's so vitally important, and we're over here going backwards instead of forwards. Like Evan Neal, promising young player. Um, he's just not performing up to the level, hasn't shown improvement, making these comments about the fans, which you do not go at the fans. Like Saquon said, they were here before you and they're going to be here after you. And his apology doesn't mean anything. The entire Giants fan base was exploding after he said those. Because if you're not playing well and then you're going to blame, say, the fans and say burger flippers and all this stuff, like they literally pay your contract. So I don't know what you're talking about. So that was a pretty dumb remark off of him.
The problem is you can't call out the fans first off, and you can't be bad and do it.
No.
It's just always you're always gonna lose that battle if you're calling out the fans, especially in these big markets like New York. Like you can't do that. You might get away with that in Kansas City or somewhere, but you're not doing that here.
No, especially it's just such a big market team in general, and a lot of passionate fans. No, you literally cannot do that. Also another stat for you while we're just talking about the O-line, Giants pass block win rate is ranked 28th or worse for 4 straight seasons. So I actually will bring up this list because I just saved it. It showed the individual years breakdown. Let's see right here. So Giants pass block win rate since ESPN started tracking it in 2017. So 2017 was 42.5%. So that's 31st. 2018 was 48.5, 30th. 2019, decent, 60.7. That's 12th. That's pretty good. That's the best it's ever been. Then 2020 back to 32nd, last in the NFL. 2021, 28th. 2022, 29th, and 2023 back to 28th. So, and if you take a look at DJ through his career high 24 touchdowns in 2019, the O-line wasn't that bad, correlates, but you take a look at every other year, not something to be proud about. And it's crazy how we haven't been able to perfect this O-line every single year. It's consistently an issue, and this is why when we get into one of our later points, I will consistently fight for one of the sides. I know Angela knows we went over our show notes before, but it's just mind-boggling how bad someone's O-line can consistently be with bringing in new names, having top draft picks for this, having just young talent try to come in and help. And it's just like we're going backwards instead of forwards, even with like top 2 left tackle in the league, Andrew Thomas.
So yeah, and that's 2 top 10 picks on the line. Then you have JMS, who's what was he, second round?
He was second round, and he was solid when he was in here. I don't have his grade here, but I'm pretty sure he was the best out of the O linemen because Andrew Thomas wasn't present with his games. He also got hurt on the stupid QB sneak. I'm not calling it the brotherly shove because that's so annoying. Should be banned. It's rugby. This isn't football. Get out of here.
Shout out to the Rugby World Cup today. Just, the boys performing across the pond. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, Ireland was playing at 3. I actually didn't see if they were winning. But yeah, JMS definitely looked like he had some promise. The thing with offensive line and the thing, as soon as Andrew Thomas goes down, now you're shifting pieces around. No one's getting, they're not in the positions. Ezeudu should be at a guard spot trying to learn the guard position, not trying to learn a tackle position. Like, he is a guard. He was drafted to be a guard. So it's like you have this young guy and he's another, third round pick?
Yeah, third round pick, showing promise at guard last year. And this is Dable during the preseason. We did see him do this. He started to try to shift everyone around to play other positions to be prepared for obviously the inevitable, which it happened. But I would have much rather had a little bit more depth and kind of try to address the O-line rather than go on with what we had. I'm not throwing any shade to Joe Schoen. I think he's still a great GM and did pretty well Obviously, we're trying to see if those draft picks pan out, but I don't think he's bad. I think he's very smart with what he does, but you need to address that O line. Glowinski was benched, wasn't supposed to play. He's back in the lineup now. McKeithen was promising, young guy, still hasn't had really much time to develop. He was injured all last year. Bredesen, solid. He's all right, but throwing him into the center, he's also a guard. He's not a center. So there's just like everything, all these injuries and just forcing to bring up Mayfield and Thomas, not Andrew Thomas, and just try to finagle your way into having a decent O-line, which you're not doing that, and it's not going to get there. And it just, if you don't have a good O-line, it really just affects the rest of the game. They're not bad in run blocking. They're not that bad. I'd say they're middle of the pack. I don't have the stats in front of me. But running the ball, we look kind of efficient with, but in all of these games, we've mostly been trailing, so we can't run the ball. So doesn't really help.
Yep.
But
so I think with that and this offensive line, like, how do we fix it? I think that's
how do we fix it?
How do we fix it? Because it hasn't gotten any better, and now have all these guys down, and we're looking at what's probably another lost season. If we're going to be completely honest, does not look good. Pretty much nothing really promising. So another lost season. So what are some things that we're looking, to fix? And I think one of those things is Evan Neal.
Yeah.
Evan Neal, Bobby. What are we thinking?
Well, Evan Neal is a whole different story. Real quick before we move on, I forgot I had the stat, but this kind of shows promise. I don't know if it does or doesn't, but really this podcast hasn't shown anything too happy, so I guess this could be happy. But the snap weighted age rankings. So this is a stat based off of every position group and how young each one is that played the most snaps. So quarterback, running back, wide receiver, so on and so forth. The youngest through weeks 1 through 5 are the Giants with 25.7 average years old on the entire team. So I guess, would you consider that a plus? I mean, I guess a lot to develop. We knew that. I mean, even though you look from last year and it's like a good year, and then we have young guys, but I don't know how to feel about this stat.
I mean, ultimately, it's a good thing that it's a younger team. It's a bad thing that these young guys are getting demoralized. And I think last year might have just been a little bit of a overachievement, coming in with the new system and just having a lot of success with that. So it definitely raised our expectations to a place it shouldn't have been. Realistically, like we're still in a rebuild for the most part. But we thought we were a lot closer. But I think the injuries that we talked about, it just compounds. And like you were saying, like you have to have things going right and people healthy and the O-line working to really have success in this league. It comes down to it. I mean, it's kind of the same like you're talking about, Danny's best year. It's the same thing when you look at Goff. He goes from when he was on the Rams, when the Rams had a good offensive line, he was very serviceable. Then, it ends up being their offensive line kind of falls apart. He looks terrible. So then it's like, okay, send him off. Gets to Detroit, offensive line, it looks good. He looks pretty good this year. So I think he's somebody that I think is comparable. I think it's also systems, a lot of systems with the quarterbacks as well. And like, I think the Giants are kind of exploring as well. Like they're not fully in on whatever they're trying to run because it's hard when you have 0.5 seconds to throw the ball. So there's definitely just a lot of moving parts, but that is football.
Yep. No, it's true. We have yet to see Danny with a pretty good O-line. We saw him for his rookie year with a pretty middle of the pack O-line. He didn't look too bad. But obviously, he's developed to a much different player, much different play calls, much different scheme in general. Speaking of Danny, I want to compare him to another well-known player, Andrew Luck. So Andrew Luck has 86 games played in his career. Daniel Jones has right now 59. I believe that went up, but I'm not 100% sure. And Andrew Luck has taken 174 sacks. And remind you, Andrew Luck retired out of the league just because of the amount of beatings he's been taking from his O-line. And he has 174, and DJ has 177 sacks taken. Okay. To put that into perspective, Andrew Luck retired because of the beatings he was taking. DJ has significantly less games played, 17, about a whole season less games, and he has 3 more sacks taken to himself. That is absurd. And the fact that there's Giants fans coming out and saying how this is Daniel Jones's fault is insane. Because I don't care who you are. You could be Andrew Luck, and we knew how much promise and hype Andrew Luck was coming out of, and he was a great player. But when you're taking that beating, those beatings, something happens to you as a player, especially as a quarterback. We saw this season, and we're going through it, and we're like, when is it? Like we knew that DJ was going to get hurt at some point. He was getting sacked like it was nobody's business. You see the stat coming in on ESPN or whatever is broadcasting the Giants game: 8 sacks, 5 sacks, 6 sacks. Seahawks have this many. The Cowboys 8 sacks this game. And it's Daniel Jones just dying back there. He's getting killed, and yet everyone still has somebody to blame. And apparently it's always the quarterback. Meanwhile, he had 1.7 seconds, 1.8, 1.5, 2 seconds, 2.1, which if you get 3 seconds or more, I think the average was 2.5 seconds in the NFL, and DJ's barely getting 2.3, barely getting 2.1. So it does make a big difference because you can't go through your progressions. You can't throw deep. Giants fans are like, why aren't you throwing deep? You physically can't when you have to scramble out of the pocket, and you can't scramble out of the pocket every single snap because that's not how it works. So just blaming him does not make sense to me.
Do you want devil's advocate?
No, I don't, because we're already gonna have to get into this at a later point.
I mean,
but jump into. Also, I believe what
he's played poorly.
He has played poorly.
He has regressed. I feel like he was more comfortable last year than he was this year, and it's kind of interesting because yes, the line is bad this year, but it also wasn't great last year, and it seems like he's taken a step back, and it's just like, I don't know if it was the Cowboys game that was just utterly defeating.
It's confidence. That's all it comes down to, confidence. We saw like ups and downs the beginning of last year. We saw the first few weeks he didn't really perform that well of last year, and he was just able to try to gain that confidence back. And we see how good of a player he is when he's at 100%, but it's almost like he's like kind of a little demoralized, and he's much more afraid of this O-line and isn't confident. And when he does have time to take those shots downfield, he just feels like he needs to roll out of the pocket and he needs to get rid of the ball ASAP. And he's missed a few throws. Obviously, they haven't been awful, but he has not played as well as last year. If he played as well as last year, I think we might be 2-4, maybe, most likely. The other ones were all blowouts. You don't really know. Maybe the Seahawks game we turn around.
I think he wins the Seahawks game.
Yeah, 100%. But
that game was very winnable.
No, it was. It was just there for him to grab, but you can't only put all of the blame on DJ, which he hasn't performed well. Obviously, I just told you about the whole O-line numbers. So I think it's a joint effort, honestly. Injuries, O-line, and obviously you want to do quarterback. We can throw in quarterback too, but fixing a quarterback, I don't think DJ is a priority to either draft a new quarterback or get a new quarterback or trade him away. I don't think that priority would fix this team in general, which obviously you have an off season to try and do everything, as we're already talking about the off season when it's October 14th. I love doing this.
Back.
Yeah, we're exactly back. And this season is just like, it's way more unwatchable than that 2021 season with Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm. This season is just like even the Dolphins game, it's just like that game at halftime was 17-10, and it still felt like you were down 4 touchdowns because the offense could not get anything going. So just in general, it's
I didn't think I'd be on Tankathon this early.
yeah. I didn't think that
Love your
we'd be
website.
yeah, I didn't think we'd have to be looking at all this. Um, but here we are. Here we are. Stuff doesn't change. Um, but what are you gonna do? Let's see. What's our next segment we got here? How about we take a quick break and then we will be back with our question marks, our top question marks for the season.
Perfect. Throw it off to our sponsors.
All right. And we are back with our burning hot questions that we got. We got about maybe 6, 7 about some controversial thoughts that's been swirling around the Giants fan base. So let's kick it right off. As you did hint to it earlier, should we move Evan Neal to left tackle? He played left guard as a freshman at Bama, and he played left tackle in his final season at Bama. So let's kick it to Angelo. What are we thinking?
So there's been a lot of bad that we've talked about, but here you gotta look at some of the bright sides, right? Daniel Jones is practically dead, so he's not going to be in this Bills game. So we have Tyrod out there, and no disrespect to Tyrod, but he's not the future of the franchise. So we can take some liberties with the offensive line, and I think this is the perfect time to move Evan Neal somewhere else, anywhere else, just to see what he could do. Like you said, he has played left tackle, he's played left guard. Maybe slide him around in there. Left tackle could be a death sentence for Tyrod. Shout out to Tommy DeVito coming onto the active roster.
Oh,
Maybe Tommy's the truth. I honestly wouldn't even mind seeing a little Tommy DeVito out there. Let's see what he got in the regular season. He looked okay in preseason.
yeah.
Maybe we got a solid backup for a couple years if you see what he got there. But this would be a great time for Evan Neal to move to guard or move to tackle. I know it's hard because everybody's playing out of position. So I don't know. You put Pugh over there. I don't know. I mean,
Which Pugh did play tackle. I think his first year he did play tackle.
yeah, and I mean, I would also want to see Pugh next to Neal, just maybe like having more of a veteran guard next to him maybe can help direct him a little bit better. But there's some of these things that you're saying that's like I don't know if any of that fixes it. Maybe it's a coaching change, but and not a Dable. I'm saying Bobby Johnson might be out the door, but it's what it is. So I think that is one thing that we could do. We do have that option, see what Evan Neal could do if you move him around. I mean, you got to get some production out of him somewhere. And all of these videos of guys just going right past him or him blocking Darren Waller. I mean, you got nothing to lose at this point. It's not like he's going to look like an idiot. He already did that.
No, I agree. We could try him somewhere else. And about that video. So there's this video, I'm sure everyone has seen this, of Evan Neal looking at the edge rusher against the Dolphins and just letting him straight through. And there is a little bit of logistics to that. It may sound stupid. He just let him right by. We did see a former offensive NFL lineman try to defend him, but it was also not really correct. So his rebuttal to that was, this is just a straight up football play. And when there are 6 people rushing, there's 6. Obviously, one person is going to be unblocked. So who would you want to be leaving unblocked? Obviously, the guy on the edge takes a longer time to get to the quarterback. The quarterback has to check that and say, hey, he's coming. We got to get this ball out hot. And usually it'll be a check down to the running back or some quick slant or tight end, whoever. But here's the problem with that. They were not rushing 6. They were rushing 5. So I don't know if Evan Neal thought, hey, running back's picking him up. Am I doing a stunt? But him and McKeithen went inside to pick up the end and left him wide open, and there wasn't six rushing. So I don't know what was also on the opposite side. Glowinski did not pick up a stunt.
I mean,
Glowinski and Lemieux did
that
not.
was
Yeah, that play up the middle, Bredesen got ran over left side. He got sacked from three different sides.
Yeah,
It,
three guys ended up at Daniel Jones,
yeah,
but at the same time, it's like there's a difference. At least the other guys tried to put a hand on the guy in front of them.
yeah.
That's
No, it is.
kind of
But
important.
yeah, but I don't know. If Neal thought six were rushing, then that has to be a communication fault, because Daniel Jones should go up to the line and say, all right, check, hot, somebody's hot. But I'm not blaming this on him, because if you look at the coverage they're setting up, they're not bringing there was four down linemen, and I don't even think there was one linebacker and a safety or someone covering Waller, I believe, on that side. So it really doesn't make sense. Either the protection was set wrong, either they thought there were six coming. Also, you can't throw that hot. If you looked, I'm pretty sure it was Eric Gray who was running a route. His route wasn't a little swing; it was a legit route. So he didn't look for the ball either. If he knew it was hot, he may have looked for the ball. So that play is definitely controversial. We obviously, none of us will know if an NFL lineman's like, yeah, you guys are stupid, you don't know what it is. Well, I don't know who else would know. Maybe we have to go straight to the source of Bobby Johnson, but it's really just a lot of people blaming Evan Neal. I was one of them. I was like, dude, how are you just going to look at somebody? And I'm not an O lineman, so I obviously don't know what's going on. But being explained that, it makes a little bit more sense, but you still, somebody messed up. Like,
There was five. There was no fake blitz. There was no extra man creeping up like, oh, maybe. There was nobody.
it was five.
It was 5-on-5. Your five versus my five. And he just was like, nope. So I don't know if this is, maybe he is not coachable and doesn't listen. I don't know. But that was on him for sure. I don't care what any of these guys say. It was 100% on him. And then, I mean, he has the other play of blocking Waller. Come on, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
No, it's true. I'm not trying to defend him and say that.
Obviously, having these mental lapses, and it's like that's why it's like put him at guard. Maybe his life gets a little easier, a little simpler. He doesn't have to get off the ball as fast and get his hands up. So it's like, but let's see. He's a giant human.
He's big.
He is a big body. So he should be useful, and he has been the opposite of useful. He has been a detriment, and it has been painful. But the whole O line is bad, and I do think O lines work in units, so it's very tough when they have all these moving parts. But at the end of the day, we got this time. This Bills game could be a straight experiment if they want to, because it's going to be an uphill battle.
No, 100%. And while we're speaking of the Bills game, how about we take a look at this Bills game a little bit while we're in between questions here. There's a lot of not swirling, but listening to a few pods. I don't think, and even this is my take. This could be a wild hot take, but I think it's a little better that Tyrod is playing. Not saying DJ sucks, not saying that he shouldn't be, but the Bills will be less prepared to play Tyrod Taylor. Also, how many revenge games do we have today?
17.
That game. Oh, so many. So many. Also, Dable, we've seen this was a great comparison. Jason Garrett, when Jason Garrett was our OC, what was his best games against? Who were his best games against? Against the Cowboys. Obviously, Dable was there. He's going to probably be a little better for the defense, but he has also been seeing how the Bills defense plays. And also you're going against Tyrod Taylor, which you don't have his film, and they're not going to be running the same plays that they've been with DJ. So the Giants have a chance to come out here, throw some trick plays at him, throw some new stuff on the wall. So I don't think I don't know if they're going to win. They could definitely pull out something, but it's a lot less of the Bills really knowing. And I think that they could put a little show together. But also, if that happens, the entire Giants fan base is going to be like, see, DJ sucks. Why? See, like, get a new quarterback. This is the worst thing. So this is why it's a little bit of a, if you know ball, then you know what, like, you're playing a revenge game. Dable knows the basically a bunch of the offensive components. Tyrod Taylor doesn't have a lot of film against them, only in the preseason. Are you going to study preseason film? No, you're not. You're just going to go off the game plan and say, do they add to these route combinations, to these plays? And also Saquon is questionable. So it also depends if Saquon plays.
You remember when you didn't trust Colt 45?
Yes.
Colt McCoy coming in the Seahawks game.
He didn't really do too much. That was more relying on the run game, but okay, whatever you say. But still, so this does provide a sense of really unknowing football for the Bills. So I could see if they do not even pull up an upset, but score a touchdown in the first half. I could see a lot of Giants fans just being like, see, Daniel Jones is the problem. He can't score. See, Tyrod Taylor handed it off to Saquon Barkley and he scored a touchdown. See, this is what we're missing. So I could see that being a problem, but it could also be just not making us Giants fans not want to just completely check out. If they put up a little bit of a cool fight, that'll be fine. But it's Sunday Night Football. Probably won't be, but you could only hope because the Bills are still a good team. Obviously beat the Dolphins. They are a weird team. They are a weird team.
They always have weird play down to their opponent games, which I think we might have missed it because I think they did that last week.
Yeah. No, yeah. And so they're gonna try to be on the come up this week, try to bounce back, and definitely want to bring the juice. But a little bit more mystery to our offense, which could end up helping us, maybe even for first half, because once they make adjustments, even in any other game, once the
second half we throw in Tommy DeVito, boom,
and then
you want to do smoke and mirrors? Let's do it. Let's ride.
Yeah, we could do whatever we want. We'll see this game. I'm very curious to see what they do this game because I don't know. There's really nothing else to look forward to. It's just like, can't wait for the Giants to win. No, it's more like, can't wait to see what the Giants do in the first half of this drive, in the first quarter of this drive. But hey, Giants win. Giants beat Buffalo 30-0. Calling it right now. I honestly don't know if I want them to win because then definitely everyone's gonna be like, Daniel Jones done, blah 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 blah. But I hope that we put something on tape. That's just cool. Anyway, anything else on the Bills game?
I think they're gonna lose.
Dude, what kind of Giants fan are you?
I'm a realist. They don't look good, and I don't know that Tyrod will make them look any better.
So the thing with Tyrod is, obviously he's old, but he can throw downfield. What I'm curious to see is he has a pretty good deep ball. So I want to see if Dable tries to use his strength and try to target more downfield. Obviously, the O-line, I don't know. We were bringing up Pugh. We already elevated Pugh. Maybe he helps a little bit. And I want to see what they do with that offense. But obviously, Tyrod's a lot more spontaneous and does have some bad misses when he does miss you. DJ, he'll miss a few times, not too bad. Maybe like we take a look at some of the past games like this one. Oh, it should have let him. This is a little inside, being a little picky with critiquing him. But Tyrod's misses are a lot worse. So, but he has a great arm. So, we'll see how Tyrod does. Maybe high at touchdown. That was the touchdown in the preseason. So, hey, you never know. We could only dream. But anyway, we'll head on to a much more controversial point, which is the trade deadline is October 31st. Should and who should the Giants trade for, or should they be more of a seller and sell? And if they should, who should they sell?
Seller for sure.
Seller. And
please don't buy it.
Give me your top 3 guys you would sell.
Adoree Jackson.
Adoree.
There's always a team that wants a corner at this stage of the season, and he is very good, but he is older. I believe last year of his deal.
Yeah.
Last year of his deal. And I think, corners are hot, so you can trade them. I am completely fine with rolling my guy Tay Banks out there. And
Well, the problem with that is Tay Banks was at CB1, and we've been using Adoree more as like a slot kind of deal. Also, as cornerback too, and Tyreek, when he was going against Tyreek, was out for the game. I forgot what you sent me for the reason why. Trey Hawkins was out there, got burnt. That's all I'm gonna say.
chin strap. All right, so you're gonna put him up against the fastest corner or fastest receiver in the league, and for one play that he's not even supposed to be in there, and that's fine, whatever. But I'm putting Hawkins out there. Putting Hawkins out there, let him get the reps. Put Flott out there. Let's get the young guys, just throw him back there, get him some reps. We're gonna get burned regardless, so let's at least go and get like I don't know, fourth, third, something, for Adoree, because we're not re-signing him. So I'm good with shipping him out. If anyone wants Dexter or not Dexter Lawrence, I love Dexter Lawrence. Sorry. Leonard Williams, please be my guest.
Whoa, Leonard Williams. That is a hot take.
No, it is not. He is what, 31? How old is this guy?
He's 30.
30. Don't care. Last year of his deal, third highest paid player in the NFL in terms of cap hit. That's why I don't think he'll go anywhere, because it's practically impossible. But if anyone wants him, please.
He's 29. 29.
Sure, dude.
29.
He hasn't done anything to really impress me. I think he's getting worse, and you'll put someone if you could get a return, but I don't think you can because of the price tag. Fine with that. Oh, and the other one, was it Talking Giants that said Paris Campbell?
Talking Giants did say Paris Campbell. Yep.
Yeah. I'm good with getting rid of him. He looks terrible. And if anyone wants him, please come get him. I mean, I'm not a fan. I don't think I'm very much so a fan of just this whole rotation of wide receivers that we're just like everybody gets like half a snap, and it's like I'm over it. It's like, let's put Hyatt out there. I know he had 33 snaps in the last game, 0 targets, lovely. And I know he's a deep threat. Make him run other routes. He needs to learn. He's young. Like, let's get him involved. Get a screen and something. Put Wandale out there. Put him out there. Have Hodgins and Slayton, and that's it. I think this whole freaking doing this Sterling and this and that, it's like, come on, guys. Come on.
Well, all right. So here's the problem with that. They brought in Paris Campbell just to see, because also Wando is coming off a torn ACL, and we saw how Saquon was off a torn ACL. Obviously, all right. But you don't want him to get injured, God forbid, and now you don't have a backup slot, and it would be Sterling, who is old. And Paris Campbell has not been playing well. Obviously, you could chip him off. That's fine. I'm fine with Wandale playing over him. He had some versatility. He looked like a kind of shiny new toy in the preseason. They were using him all sorts of ways, but obviously that's now out the window. I wouldn't be opposed to shipping him off, but I don't think you're going to really get anything too crazy in return.
I want shots, picks. Anything. Give me shots. It's the same thing. Honestly, like if someone calls me for Waller, I might entertain it.
Really?
Yeah, just because of age. It was our whole offseason, we were worried about an injury, and people are gonna be like, oh, that's crazy. But my thing is, we're kind of looking at a lost season. Let's go find another Hodgins. Go find someone, on a practice squad or whatever. Like at this point, we geared up with these guys like Campbell and Waller were like cheap. Let's try to get some weapons. And it doesn't really look like they're like really panning out. I understand the offensive line and all of these struggles, but at the same time, I watched Waller not catch a ball that was dropped in a bucket right in his hands that could have been a touchdown in that Dolphins game. Also, he it just doesn't seem like he's not the weapon we really need. We need like a legitimate wide receiver. So I mean, I would just be open to it because of injury history, age, and contract. If someone called, I'd listen.
Okay. I'm not opposed to that, but dude, already trading Waller out. We're already 5 weeks in, trying to ship him out. I wouldn't.
Go get me Marv.
All right,
so Marv.
You have whoever
you want.
So you're in full sell mode. You want like a whole new rebuild, basically.
I think that we did a lot of patchwork because we thought we were closer than we were. So I think it's fine to get off of those guys. Just let the young guys play. Let Hawkins, let all those guys get in there. Um, I'm not even like Daniel Bellinger is fine. Like he's Waller's only allowed on the outside because Bellinger can block. When they needed Waller to block, it was like the dude couldn't do anything.
Yeah, he can't. He's not known for his blocking. But okay, so Adoree, Waller, and Leonard Williams. Wow, those are like the faces of the franchise, kind of.
Nah, I mean, as I'm sitting here looking at the FanFest 2022 schedule that they gave us with Kenny Galladay, Blake Martinez, Kadarius Toney, you know, a lot of those guys are on this thing here. I think it's fine.
All right. I can't even answer this question if I'm being honest myself. I saw Talking Giants wanted to trade X.
I'm not out on X mainly because I love him. He's a great guy.
X is a great guy. Leader is a little questionable, needs to be a better leader, but I don't think he's just had a little underwhelming season. But I still think he's a great guy, great player, and we've seen what he could do. So I would, and no one on the offense for you, right? Oh, you said Waller, but mostly defense.
And there's not many weapons to trade on the. I mean, Campbell as well. Campbell and Waller, I'm fine with because I feel like they were patch jobs, short-term deals, and a little bit more injury prone. So if I can get something for them, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not trading them for. I mean, I trade Campbell for practically nothing, but I'm not trading Waller for nothing.
Okay, that's fair. I would go with. I honestly don't know. A lot of people have been saying Saquon too. I don't want to trade Saquon. I guess I'd agree with Paris Campbell. You could try to trade him. I wouldn't do Leo. Adoree possibly.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just
Adoree Adoree will give you back the most, and I don't think he's back.
Yeah.
I don't think they bring him back.
Yeah, that's fair.
At the money that he'll want, and for the age that he's at, and the like timeline of what we're looking at, and how the young guys in the secondary have been okay. Like they're not great, but they've shown some signs. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Okay. It's a fair point. Let's move on to our next one because I feel like that, even though it's a trade deadline, it's just controversial. Just like I don't know, too early for me. But if you had the option to play Saquon this Sunday, are you playing him? He's questionable currently. You say no? Let him rest.
Let him rest. Saquon always says that he can come back from these injuries in a matter of seconds, and then it always ends up being longer. Then he still comes back rushed, and it's like, for what? What are we doing here? I mean, he's obviously a competitor, and he's going to want to play. But I think it's a high ankle sprain. He needs more than the couple weeks. What has it been? 4 weeks? 3 weeks? 3 weeks. It's close. A high ankle sprain is closer to 5. Let's be honest. So at this point, I say let the man sit, get him right, and let's also get him playing in a game that's like winnable. I mean, obviously, some people are going to say we should just tank the season at this point. But you know, if you like keep him out until like the Jets game and then we just win against the Jets, like I'm fine with that. Like just get me a win against the Jets, and I think you can close up shop for the season. That's all I need.
Okay. That's a fair point. I'd say the same. Don't play him. Let him heal, get up, see what he can do. Because once again, he's on a franchise tag. So if we're looking at the end of the year, he's already missed what, 4 weeks, 3 weeks?
Or we don't play him. We don't play him, so he doesn't have great stats, and then we sign him for cheap.
I don't know if we'll do that, but
we won't.
Sure.
But it's fine. I say no. Daniel's not out there. Tyrod's gonna be out there. Also, Eric Gray had a little juice.
Eric Gray's not bad. I want to see more Eric Gray than Breida. I've been day one Eric Gray supporter. I like this film. Don't let him catch punts. Do not let him catch punts. But I'm completely content with having him. Also, he had a pretty good block against Wilkins, Christian Wilkins. Single one-on-one block, and he was able to hold his own. And that man is not very big. Eric Gray's like 5'9", I think. 5 something like that. Is short. And he was able to hold his own. So I like that. Give Eric Gray some more leeway. And then let's dive into our probably biggest point here. Definitely man the battleships. Currently the New York Giants have the 6th pick in the NFL draft. If we get up to 1 or if we get close, are you taking Caleb Williams out of USC?
Yes. And
Okay.
here's the deal. And you're gonna obviously refute it. And there's been a lot of back and forth and a lot of people saying, tank for Caleb. Caleb's gonna fix it. I do not think Caleb will fix it. I don't think that he fixes our problems. The offensive line is not going to get fixed by Caleb. But my thing is, if Caleb is the guy that everybody is saying he is the unrefuted, he is the number one, I think everybody's kind of saying he's the generational step above guy. You have to go for that. And it's nothing against Daniel. It's, I think, also a testament to how Shane structured that contract and why I was always fine with that contract is because cap corner, he can get out of it next year. So next year, Daniel Jones will have a $47 million cap hit. After that, we would only take a $22 million cap hit to cut him. Restructuring however you want, if you want to keep him on the team. Hypothetically, if you do get the number one and that's the guy, I wouldn't want to take a flyer on some of these other guys that are getting thrown around, like Penix and Drake May, maybe not really there yet with what he looks okay, but he's like, I want it for the generational guy. If it's not the generational guy, I'm fine with trading down. I'm fine with like getting more assets because we do have a lot of holes, and I'm also fine with just going and getting a top offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Because I ultimately don't think that we're going to be able to outpace Denver and Chicago even Carolina, because we're bad, but like I think Dabs could like coach our way to a win or two just along the way, looking at the schedule. So I just can't imagine. And Denver looks god awful.
They do. They look pretty bad against the Chiefs. They couldn't do anything. So I think even if we had the opportunity, I'm trading back. I'm sorry. Caleb Williams not fixing this O-line. You're gonna get him killed. I know you would, your plan would be sitting him for a year. But that also, you're just like, it took us, we've yet to get this O-line right. And you're just going to push it back another year. And obviously there's more to an offseason than just a first round pick. But hey, I'm using as much as possible. We saw Evan Neal didn't pan out. Obviously he was a first round pick, but I want the best talent as possible. But also coaches, you got personnel. You got to find diamonds in the rough in the later rounds and try to help us out here, because we've been trying to do it. I'm not saying none of these guys are going to be good. We saw JMS limited time stamp to see how he was, but we need more guys to try and like help us out. Obviously the offseason, you could sign people. I'm not too big to that. I don't know how good our cap will be next year, cap corner. But I still don't like Caleb. I mean, I like him. He's a good player. I've watched him. He's very entertaining, but just doesn't. I don't think that would help our team at all.
No, you have to do it. The problem is you have to. This is the same thing when the Cardinals had Josh Rosen. It's the same thing whenever, like, you have to just eat it and go to the next, just because it's just the right thing to do. If he as generational as they say, you have to do it.
And how good are the Cardinals now?
But Kyler was still higher upside. You're shooting for upside. You're not shooting for the floor. It's the same thing. I mean, CJ Stroud's offensive line is not good. But it's like, if you have generational talent quarterbacks, realistically, they should make it easier. in
His O
terms of
line's not good, but it is better than ours. And this is the same argument with people I've been seeing saying Sam Howell has been sacked a lot. But have you looked at pressures and have you looked at quarterbacks generated sacks? Sam Howell has had a lot of sacks that were like 0 yards because he's scrambling out of the pocket and he'll get
Sam
back to
Howell
the line of
also
scrimmage.
holds the ball. Sam Howell holds the ball, so it's different.
Yeah, exactly. He gets it's more quarterback generated sacks. There's
I will,
quarterback sacks and O line sacks, and quarterback sacks is holding the ball too long and putting yourself into harm's way.
yeah, but at the same time, I would also like. I think my argument is more CJ Stroud because if you have a top tier guy with higher processing power, that's what you're going for.
Okay.
That's why I would do it. I would just pull the trigger. I don't think we get the number one pick. I don't expect it to happen. I could see us being in the top 5 for sure at this point, but I don't think they get to the top. Now, also, would I be upset at my guy Marvin though? I know
I
it
would
helps
love Marvin.
helps nothing. I think it really the thing with that too is we don't have a number one guy that's going to win. That's kind of like when people talk about, oh, Joe Burrow had a terrible offensive line, went to the Super Bowl. It's like, yes, he also had Jamar Chase, who he's going to win off the line.
Yeah.
Like if anything, if I'm got to bail out, you're throwing it to Chase.
Yep. No,
And
I agree.
and that's something that we don't have. So I think it would be a pretty big deal, and especially it's like they were complaining about Daniel Jones staring down wide receivers. I would encourage him to stare down Marvin Harrison.
Yeah. No,
I would,
I would love
prefer.
I would love Marv, even though he's Ohio State. Still would love Marv. Nope, no OH. Anyway, we're gonna have to wrap it up. But with the last few, would you do any personnel changes to this current team as of right now?
Would I?
Would you?
I would have done it 2 weeks ago. Bobby Johnson out, get out. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Sorry, dude. And what is the special teams guy?
Thomas McGahee.
Yeah, I don't even know how he has the job.
He's been there since I'm pretty sure Ben McAdoo. He's the only coach that's been there since McAdoo. And it's just because everyone says that he has a lot of respect around
Don't care.
the organization. I don't know.
Okay. Rings, Ernie. Show me the facts. Like this guy sucked. Like the special teams hasn't. When was the last time special teams was good? It was when Odell was on the team.
Ben McAdoo. When they had Dwayne Harris. Was it Dwayne Harris? No, what was his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dwayne Harris. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was.
I don't know, man. I'm out. Those two. Sorry.
Bless you. That didn't even hear it. All right. That's fine. I would say probably the same too. And to wrap it up, any final thoughts that would you like to include?
Cap space next year.
Oh,
56 million.
56?
56 million. That's because of Leonard coming off the books, Adoree coming off the books, and we have very little dead cap. So really not a bad cap situation. I don't think anyone really besides those two are coming off the books that are that serious. A'Shawn Robinson as well. But for the most part, these guys are coming back. A lot of young guys. That's some space there.
That's a lot of cap space.
That is some space there.
Don't we have a top 3 most cap space in the league, I think, next year? Or is it?
I don't know. I'm only looking at the Giants specifically. But also please bring in La'el Collins. Even if you overpay, I don't even know how they would pull it off because they only have 4 million. I think the Jets are looking at them. They have 6 million. So I don't know if it's a 2-year deal with next year loaded up a little bit more since you do have that cap space next year. Regardless, just bring him in. I would prefer it to be a 1-year deal or a front loaded deal, but I know the money's a little tight. But please just bring in some sort of reinforcements. He's like obviously was injured and all these things, but in terms of caliber of offensive linemen that you're going to find at this point in the season, like that's a pretty big deal.
Okay. Yeah, I would consider. I mean, obviously he tore his ACL, MCL, and I think PCL, so that's not the greatest thing ever.
And he could probably tear all of them and play in a boot and be better than Evan Neal.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I'd agree. All right. Touche.
Yeah, I don't know. I just see him a vet. I think a vet could help this O line as well, just in general, like an actual good vet, not like
Justin Pugh.
stop it.
Justin Pugh.
Yeah, Justin Pugh. All right, bring in Justin Pugh, bring in Collins, move Neal to guard, and get Andrew Thomas back, and like maybe we can have something serviceable.
This is true.
You know, and JMS and Thomas back. Now I'm okay with that thing. Then they could get some like reps together. I'm very okay with it. He's only 30 years old.
Only. Dude, you're cutting Leonard because he's 30.
Yeah, that's on defense. Offensive line. How old is freaking Kelsey?
30.
35. Jason Kelsey. All right. So offensive line, it's not the same level. Also, Dexter just makes too much money to be not or not Dexter. Sorry, Leonard makes too much money and does nothing.
He doesn't do nothing. He does stuff.
Not enough to be
They're
the third.
they're not gonna run the ball right up the gap, knowing that Leo and Dex are waiting for him.
No, they're running away from Dex. They're not running away from Leo.
Dude, disrespect to Leo's crazy.
I'm just letting you know. Leo is not that good.
This guy. All right. Any final thoughts?
Hopefully just make it competitive.
Make it somewhat watchable. Just make it watchable. Make it watchable.
It doesn't.
That's
even
all we ask for.
Like the Dolphins game, I was okay for the most part. It could have been a little bit better, but offensive side of the ball could have been a little bit better. But like, good job, defense.
Defense, yep. Good job. Jay Penny with that pick six, 107 yards. That was
Also,
sick.
maybe this is a blessing that we get one more year to keep our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, keep the whole unit together because they won't get jobs from being this terrible.
That's a smart way to look at it. That is true.
Positives, man. Positive. Silver linings all around.
Anyway, that'll do it for this episode. Talked a whole lot. Controversy. Don't know when we will be back. There's a whole lot of injuries though. Don't know when we will be back, but when we do, hopefully I don't even know. Hopefully we're just not talking about the firings or tradings or I don't even know.
Or maybe
Hopefully we're not that bad. Hopefully we're better than hopefully we beat the Commanders. All right. How about that? How about we beat the Jets?
just the Jets. That's all I want. I want one win. That's the Jets.
All right. Well, hopefully we get to the Jets. Anyway, that's a pod. We'll be back sometime with another one. And with that, let's always go Big Blue.